Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Still where it is today. Someone killed Ramon Casiano, and the killer got away. Down by the Sister Cities River, two boys with way more pride than sin. One would fall and one would prosper, never forced to make a bid. He became a border agent and supplemented what he made with creative deportation and missing ammo by the gate. Since Bullet ran the operation, there's hardly been a minute since that ain't amassing at the border, from Chinese troops to terrorists. He had the makings of a leader, of a certain kind of man who need to feel the world's against him, out to get him if he can. Men whose triggers pull their fingers, men who would rather fight than win, united in a revolution, like in mind and like in skin. It all started with the border, and that's still where it is today. Down by the Sister Cities River, what for sure no one can say. But killing's been the Bullet's business since back in 1931. Someone killed Ramon Casiano, and Ramon still ain't dead enough.
We packed up all our things and we moved across the ocean, started a new life in this land so bold and vast. Dispersed from Ellis Island, my distant Irish kin, eyes cut to the future, hearts tied to the past. Held tight to our loved ones and we held on to the promise and scraped our meager living hand to mouth. We prayed to what would have us, ever doubting John Thomas, spread through Appalachia ever south. Spread through Appalachia ever south. And I'm sure we weren't welcomed here, at least not in those days. No one needs our drunken, fighting, thieving kind. But we settled in this new place and we worked it in our ways, and we spread our kin upon it in due time. Spread our kin upon it in due time. And we fought our losing battles and we held on to our ways, and we talked of how we left behind our better days. Some living lives of leisure, some surviving hand to mouth, bashed our heads against the future ever south. Bash our heads against the future ever south. When I cast my eyes upon you, we were both still in our prime. We were moving in big circles that I sought out to combine. And I held you in my arms and swore eternal love this time. Tried to lasso brighter futures, let it drag us both behind. Lasso brighter futures and let it drag us both behind. We yanked our sights westward like so many did before, found in our surroundings in some distant shore, where everyone takes notice of the drawl that leaves our mouth. So no matter where we are, we're ever south. No matter where we are, we're ever south. Southern brethren, will I tell you all what for? To leave your heathen ways up in you and your shoes outside the door. Take a stand for noble causes till you just can't stand no more, and surrender to some Savior, praise the Lord. Surrender to some Savior, praise the Lord. It pains me to report we keep swinging for the fences, coming up a little short. We sure can get it wrong for someone so devout. I hear you whistling past the graveyard looking down. Whistling past the graveyard looking down. Southern in my stance, from the Irish of my complexion and the Scottish in my dance, from the way I bang my head against my daily circumstance. If this blue-eyed Southern devil take you out upon the prowl with decadence and charm, we'll take you into town, tell you stories of your fathers and the glories of our house. Always told a little slower ever south. Always told a little slower ever south.
Drive-By Truckers in the Roadhouse on KEXP. That song, Ever South. First song was Ramon Casiano. It's great to have you guys here. Congratulations on the new record. It's called American Band. It's on ATO Records, available right now.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And, congratulations on the new digs.
Yeah, how about this? How about this place? We're really proud of it.
Moving on up, as the Jeffersons would say.
That's right, yeah. Well, you say a lot on this record, you and Mike. I want to congratulate you on the record. It's fantastic. Those two songs are a couple of my favorites, Ever South and Ramon Casiano. Mike, that is actually a real person. It's a song about a shooting back in 1930s that was unprosecuted.
Right. He was convicted, but never served any time.
Right. And Ramon was the victim.
Exactly.
And the guy who did the killing became the leader of the NRA.
Right. Yeah. And you had, I don't mention his name in the song, but if you want to read about it, you have to Google Harlan Carter. If you Google Ramon Casiano, it goes to another guy. I don't know who he is.
Yeah. And Patterson, that song, really, I think one of my favorite songs you've ever written. It's obviously heavy and deep. Can you explain a bit about it? I could guess what it's about, but it seems kind of like being a bastard child, from immigration to the South, and now you're living in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, it all that tied in with it. It was the last song I wrote for the record, and we had actually recorded most of the record already. We recorded. Cut like 9 songs in 3 days back in November up in Nashville. And then I came home and back to Portland. I just moved there last summer with my family about a year and 3 months ago. And so I get back home from tour and recording, and, my family's all in the throes of deep homesickness, and which was something that I think kind of blindsided them. I tour all the time, so I'm always homesick, so I'm kind of used to it. But they were kind of taken, I think they were kind of caught off guard by the extent of it. And I don't know, it just all kind of bubbled up, that and a lot of the themes that are on this record, it all kind of came together late one night and then a little bit the next day, and I wrote this song. And but it kind of deals with all that and kind of ties it all in with, how a lot of time my fellow Southerners tend to vote for the worst possible candidate at any given election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this record is overtly political, and it really starts with the album cover. The cover has the American flag at half-mast.
Which is like the only way we see it anymore. I mean, it's like, it seems like every time you look at the flag, it's at half-mast.
And you can't remember why from one day to the next.
Yeah. So you wrote some songs about it.
Yeah. And there was right after when we drove out there, we drove cross country, my family and I. We spent 3 weeks driving across the country, and the night we stopped in Denver, Colorado, turned out to be the night of that afternoon had been the shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, the church massacre, and then the last night of our drive, we spent the night in Blacksburg, Oregon, and which is where Umpqua Community College was. And so a couple of months after we got here was the shooting, which I understand, I think the Saturday is the 1 year anniversary of that one. And it's like it's out of hand. And so the record largely just kind of wrote itself. Mm-hmm. Just whatever was eaten at one of us at any given time ended up becoming a song. Yeah.
You say a lot on the record about guns, about, stand your ground law, about race, too. And you put it all out there.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It really is, and I think that's what we wanted to point out.
Fear of the other.
Stand your ground doesn't really apply to everyone equally, and it's pretty obvious it doesn't, and it was never intended to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's a black man walking down the street with a gun, then he's an armed black male, and he looks dangerous, But Billy Bob can walk around Walmart with his, with his ammo clip and everything, and it's somehow okay.
Mm-hmm. You've long been exploring this duality of the modern Southerner in all your previous records, and now it seems like you're sort of exploring the duality of being an American on this record.
I think so much of the old, people who grow up in the South, they grow up hearing all this north-south divide crap, but honestly, it's kind of an outdated myth, I think. And and even the red state blue state divide is becoming a bit of an outdated myth. I think it's really more of an urban rural divide in America right now. I kind of an illustration of that. I mean, I live in Portland now, Portland, Oregon, and it's, like Seattle, it's an extremely liberal city. And, but you can drive 15 minutes out of town and you might as well be in, rural Alabama. I mean, it's, Trump signs and trailer parks.
It's so true. I couldn't agree more. Mike.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's this part of the country is known for being pretty ultra liberal, and like we were just pointing out, it's when you get outside the metropolitan areas, it's not as much as you would think, and that's true in the deep South too. You leave Atlanta or Birmingham or Nashville, you see the same things.
Yeah.
And all the southern cities tend to be liberal, most of them, not all of them, but the majority of the southern cities, vote pretty blue.
This is the Drive-By Truckers. The album is called American Band. It's on ATO. Let's hear another song.
All right, this was the first song I wrote for the record, and when I wrote it, I didn't even really know if it would be something that would be I was honestly hoping it'd be something that was just brewing up from the stuff happening at that moment in the news, and I was probably hoping that by the time we got around to putting another record out, it would be kind of outdated and might not be any reason to put it on there. But unfortunately, that hadn't happened yet. And this song's kind of a questioning, and it's called What It Means. Shot him in his tracks. About the only thing agreed upon is he ain't coming back. There won't be any trial, so the air won't be cleared. There's just two sides calling names out of anger, out of fear. If you say it wasn't racial when they shot him in his tracks, well, I guess that means that you ain't black. It means that you ain't black. Remember, by my one, and you can choose where to eat. But you don't see too many white kids lying bleeding on the street. In some town in Missouri, but it could be anywhere. It could be right here on Roof Street. In fact, it's happened here, and it happened where you're sitting, wherever that might be. And it happened last weekend, it'll happen again next week. And when they turned him over, they were surprised there was no gun. I mean, he must have done something, or else why would he ever? So they spin it for the anchors on the television screen, so they can wag their fingers without asking what it means, what it means. What it means. So I guess there was protesting and some looting in some stores, and someone was reminded they ain't called colored folks no more. I mean, we try to be politically correct when we call names. What's the point of post-racial when no prejudices remain? And that guy who killed that kid down in Florida standing ground is free to beat up on his girlfriend and wave a brand new gun around, while some kid is dead and buried and laying in the ground with a pocket full of skittles. What it means. fingertips, we're standing at the summit. And some man with a joystick lands a rocket on a comet. We're living in an age where limitations are forgotten. The outer edges move and dazzle us, but the core is something rotten. 'Cause we're standing at the precipice of prejudice and fear. We trust science just as long as it tells us what we want to hear. We want our truths all fair and balanced, as long as our notions lie within it. There's no sunlight in our asses and our heads are stuck up in it. And our heroes may be rapists who watch us while we dream. But don't look for me for answers, 'cause I don't know what it means. What it means.
What It Means by the Drive-By Truckers. They're in the Roadhouse on KEXP. It's great to have you guys here. That's another great song. Thank you much for playing that one. Patterson, can you just introduce the band, these handsome guys you're with here?
Yeah, over there on the pianos and guitars and stuff, that's Jay Gonzalez. And on the bass guitar, we have Matt Patton. And on the drums, we have the Easy B, Brad Morgan.
That backside style.
Oh, yeah, the backside stylings of Easy B. And of course, that handsome devil right there is Mike Cooley.
Yeah. You guys been together about 20 years.
He and I for 31.
31,
yeah,
wow.
But we've had the Drive-By Truckers for 20. This was actually our fourth band.
Yeah. So. What It Means, do you want to explain that a bit more?
I mean,
you kind of say it in the song,
it's
right?
kind of all there. It's just, I feel like after, the civil rights, stuff in the 60s, and then Martin Luther King was killed in 68. It's like, can't we get past all of this? Can't we move on as a people and, not, it's just, I keep being just shocked by the fact that we haven't quite overcome that.
Yeah. I was reading Bitter Southerner. You did an interview there, and I've been listening to the record quite a bit and sort of preparing for this. And one thing I sort of took away from some of the interviews and the record is the fact that it seems like our generation of songwriters, for most of my whole life, have never really, they've never had to sort of take sides on songwriting. They've never had to really comment really on anything outside of their personal issues. And they've had that sort of luxury for a long time. And I feel like with this record, you really are saying something at a really sort of critical time. And I wonder if a lot of songwriters have had that luxury of not really wanting to or needing to comment.
Maybe they weren't motivated to, for whatever reason. I didn't really choose to write these songs as much as the subject matter just wouldn't leave me alone.
Same here, totally. I think we were about halfway through writing this record when it kind of dawned on us that this is what this record was, And
the fact that this is seen as taking a side is baffling to me, because these aren't opinions that we're expressing here. They're statements of fact. A large segment of the population chooses not to believe those, but they're not matters of opinion. Mm-hmm. It's not a side.
And how's the fan base taken to it? The hardcore fans, the longtime fans, are they with you? Or are you getting some flack from anybody?
Oh, for the most part, they are. Yeah,
for the most part, like very much with us. Very much with us. I mean, there's if you want to look at the comment section, there's going to be some people saying all kinds of stuff, but it's probably best not to spend too much time there.
Yeah,
I don't anyway. Don't go to the comment section. Don't. Oh, you went. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, attendance at the shows has been phenomenal. And people who've been longtime fans seem genuinely excited about this band. So about this record. So
Yeah. I can't let you pass without talking about Portland, Oregon. You decided to move there. It was quite a process to get there, I know, and you are there now for a full year. And, why did you choose that place of all places, and how's it going there?
Yeah, I fell in love with the Northwest the first time I ever came up here. Jerry Joseph had our band up here, opening some shows for them in 2000 and again in 2001, 2002. And just fell madly in love with the area up here. And Seattle and Portland, not when I started dating my now wife, who we've been together for almost 15 years anyway too, and we came up here. She came up here early on a tour with the band when we first started going out, and we just kind of fell in love with it, and the scenic beauty and the people and the architecture and the food and kind of everything about it. And the politics is pretty nice too. And so it's just something we kept talking about as just, someday when we move, someday when we move out to the Northwest, or we move to Portland or whatever. And then they developed our neighborhood we were living in Athens, and we were going to have to move anyway. And it's like, the kids are at an age where if we're ever going to do this thing, now's the time to do it. Mm-hmm. Let's go, even if we just go for a year and see what happens. Let's make this happen. And we've bought a house, so I think we're putting down some roots. It's been really kind to us.
Yeah, great. What do you miss about back home?
I mean, I miss my friends. I miss my family. I mean, a lot of my friends I get to see because I spend a lot of time with the band, and I go, I'm in Athens pretty regularly with the band business because the band's still based there. Mm-hmm. But that's been hard. It's been hard on the kids being that far away from the friends they grew up with and grandparents and stuff. That's been the hardest thing.
Yeah. And Mike, you're still in Georgia?
No, I've actually in Birmingham, Alabama.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I lived in Atlanta briefly back in the late 90s, but I've been there since, I've been in Birmingham since 2001.
Great. The record's fantastic. It's called American Band. It's on ATO Records. It's a brand new record, and it's great to have you here. How about one more song?
Thanks so much for having us, man. Thank you.
Heartstrings dangling right for the yanking, and a lot of reasons Grabby was good. Poor huddle masses singing, boots up their asses, giving Grabby what he needed to pull. All the way back to where ghosts from the past were still fighting their wars from the grave. Complete with record burning and threatening and spurning the crime of getting blood on the page. Since the big one ended, we'd been mostly pretending we'd have had the same gumption and grit as the greatest among us. When harm came upon us, we wouldn't hesitate to defend. But with or against, something's been out to get us, and it looked like something finally did. No nobler cause in our lifetime for setting our sails to the wind. Once the band imagined it became the same old war, it's all was when we were kids. Once the band imagined it became the same old war it's always been. Once they band imagined it became the war it was when we were kids. Are you now, or have you ever been in cahoots with the notion that people could change? When history happens again, if you do or you did, you'll be blamed. Baseless inquiry to no knocking entry becoming the law of the land. Half-cocked excuses for bullet abuse regarding anything browner than tan. 'Cause once they banned imagine, it became the same old war it's always been. Once they banned imagine, it became the war it was when we were kids. Once they banned imagine, it became the same old war it's always been. Once the band imagined it became the war it was when we were kids.
The Drive-By Truckers, Once They Banned Imagine, from their fantastic new record. It's called American Band. It's on ATO Records. It's brand new. It's out now, and I really want to thank you for coming in here. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?